Hi, I'm Dana the trainer. I am a trainer, facilitator, and coach, and I'm extremely passionate about diversity and inclusion. What you're about to watch is a recording of one of my free web sessions, Is This Okay? How to and how not to show up as an ally on social media. I facilitated 4 of these across a week and reached over 155 people with my message. And I'm glad to be able to share the recording with even more of you. Please do enjoy, and I hope that you learn something and come back for more. That's it, guys. We are ready to begin. And I want to start off with some ground rules, just so that we know a little bit about how the session is going to run. If, like me, you're a fan of Instagram, you would have seen this video in many different guises and with many different photos all over the internet. It says all progress takes place outside of the comfort zone, meaning that you have to be a little bit uncomfortable to start the learning process. And you know what? I definitely agree with that. But what I'm asking you for today is to throw that out the window for the next hour that we're on here. For the next hour, I would like you to be comfortable. Please be comfortable with me and please be comfortable with each other. I would love to see your faces because it helps me feel less alone. But if that doesn't work for you, turn off your camera. Be comfortable. There are a lot of us, so muting is a good idea. But if you have something to say and you want to talk to me during the session, please feel free to unmute your mic and do that. You can also talk to me in the chat as well. Just be comfortable. I want to just assure that anyone who has a preference for introversion on here, that there will be no breakout groups. You will not have to talk to strangers or do anything that's too uncomfortable. There are some polls later, but guys, the polls are anonymous and you can participate or not participate. You are not going to be put on the spot. And there is no woke quiz at the end of it. No one's going to be grading you on your wokeness at the end of this. You're fine. So just rest easy and be comfortable. If you have a question you want to ask during the session, please do use the chat box. And if you want to ask that question privately, so you don't want the entire group to know that you have a question, you can type it into Kay, K-A-Y-E-K. She's been co-hosting for me this morning. You will hear her. You type a question in privately to Kay. Then when she's amplifying that question, she won't say who asked it. It will just be, here's a question. But if you type a question in to everyone, we will probably say answering Vanessa or answering Lynn, etc., right? So send Kay, and she's just sent a message to you in chat, any private questions that you want to ask. I'm reading the chat right now, and Lynn, who says she's an introvert, is very happy. Gareth is celebrating that there will be no role play, and Vanessa as well. You can also feel free to contact with me on social media. So I'm about to start telling the origin story, but you can see my social media details on the slide. On Twitter, I'm at Dana the Trainer. On Instagram, I'm at Dana the Trainer Limited. You can tweet about this using the hashtag #IsThisOkay. You can post me all over your stories. But guys, the group on Monday, they failed. Okay, all of their selfies that they took of me were in with my face in weird positions where I was saying weird things. Guys, do better, okay? Only take screenshots where I'm looking extra cute, or just do the slides. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so to the origin story and how all of this came about. So all superheroes have origin stories. That's one of my favorite things about the Marvel and the DC movies. And I'm not saying that I am a superhero, guys, but if I was, boom, diversity Dana. That's what, guys, this is trademarked. Do you see the trademark in the corner? You can't steal that. You should have thought about it first. You didn't think about it. It's mine now. But I digress. Back to the story. This course comes to you from 2 places. right? The first place is a really selfish place, and I'm not ashamed to own that. Social media has felt like a minefield for me lately. Instagram for me is the best of the bunch because I'm really careful about who I follow. It's like my mind palace, my happy space, and I am very aggressive about unfollowing people who disrupt my mind palace. That's just how I am. I haven't properly been on Facebook for years. I try to avoid it as much as I can because, quite frankly, everyone's racist and homophobic family, including mine, seems to be on there. I also have issues with Mark Zuckerberg, but I am not doing a Zuckerberg rant today. I promised I wouldn't do it. I'm not doing it. So Twitter is fine, but lately for me, it's been scary because as much as you try to curate your feed, there are hashtags and stuff that's trending. And then when you click them, it's all horrible and you can't help but click them because it's trending. And you're like, I want to know what's trending. And everyone is going to say, Dana, you might be exaggerating about that. And so I'm going to start with Twitter this weekend. So this was on Sunday, right before I was preparing to do these sessions today. And I have lots of people saying, yep, racist family, don't like Facebook, agree about Twitter, and Twitter can be toxic. That's exactly how I feel. Here is Sunday on Twitter. I woke up and hashtag end racism was trending. And guys, I was so excited because what's not to love about that? When I clicked into the hashtag, this was the top post. I'm very committed. It's from Max Verstappen. He is a Formula One driver. And what was happening on Sunday is that all the F1 drivers were going to be kneeling for Black Lives Matter. They were going to be taking the knee, but Max decided not to take the knee. Whatever, Max, fine. Top comment on Max's post was this: good man, don't support a disgusting organization like Black Lives Matter. Second top comment: it's kind of humiliating. Sounds like white should say sorry for being born white. Ridiculous. And the third top comment: all life matters. This is all about divide and conquer. So for people who are saying, and I see it a lot on social media, that racism is not a thing and we're blowing it out of proportion and that everything is fine in the UK and this is a US problem, just pointing this out. Now, the next thing that was trending on Sunday, as if this wasn't enough, was the death of Summer Taylor. Very sadly, Summer Taylor, who they were a BLM protester, right, who unfortunately got run over by a car while protesting. It's actually really, really sad. I mean, they have died. It is sad. And so I went to click in to pay some tribute, find out a little bit more about her life, and boom. Blocking the freeway is no longer legal or peaceful. This is where she died. You play, you pay. So protesting is a play and pay kind of scenario. After that, whoever sent them there should be held responsible. So, yeah, right? And finally, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. They, and by they mean the dead person, should have to pay to repair the driver's car, the car of the person who knocked her over. So I was like, okay, enough. I'm logging out of Twitter. Literally these days, I can only spend 10 minutes on Twitter anyway. I was ready to go, but then I saw a really cute story about a deer. Here it is. A deer went into a store in Colorado. He got some chocolate chip cookies. He left the store and the deer came back with his whole little deer family a little while later. Really sweet, heartwarming. Gotta love it. Comment: illegal immigrant metaphor if ever I saw one. He ruined my deer story. Okay, so I think in general, if the people who I surround myself with on social media speak up more, my social media feed would definitely be more positive. So I want to encourage people to do that. But actually, I've been watching the people around me, some really smart and wonderful people who I just admire, get really stymied when it comes to speaking up for diversity. right? And it's not because they don't want to, it's literally because they are afraid. And I don't blame them. People are getting canceled, brands are getting canceled. There is so much sort of heightened awareness and emotion, and everyone wants to stay on the right side of it. Plus, there are trolls and bullies. They take a toll on mental health. I mean, it is scary out there. And I kind of made the decision to do this in a single day. So I decided, like, I'm just going to do this because 3 things happened in that day. First, I got a message from someone who has been my friend for many years, many, many years. She is like one of the most open, loving. She says whatever is on her mind. And I got this message from her, which she has given me permission to share. Or rather, I told her I was sharing it and she didn't complain. So she was checking in on me, but she had to say to me, I was torn about whether to check in on you because I wasn't sure if to put pressure on you to answer it. Oh my God, am I a douche? Which is totally something that she would say and crack me up. And this is my friend, someone who I consider myself really close to, and she was worried about coming to me. It just showed to me, like, if someone who is so open isn't sure, then like we have some work to do together, right? All of us. Next, on the same day, I was being interviewed for a podcast, Small Fish, Big Pod podcast. You guys should check that out. Guys, can I just ask if you have background noises? Feel free to mute yourself. Thank you. I was on this podcast with Rhiannon, and I was giving her a compliment about her social media. And she said, really, do you think that was okay? Because I really second-guessed myself before putting that post up, because I don't want to make the narrative about me. I don't want it to look like I'm virtue signaling. I don't want to say that I'm sending a message. I just want to use my voice in the right way. And she was so concerned about using her voice. And right after that, I had a completely panicked call from a client who I've known for a long time. And she was like, Dana, I want to use my platform. I want to speak up, but I'm feeling really unsure. If I start saying things, will people say that I'm jumping on the bandwagon or I'm being an apologist? Or can I even speak about this because of my privileges? Maybe I'm not sure that I'm the right person to talk about this because it's totally not appropriate. And she was having a complete meltdown with me. And the facilitator in me just kicked in that moment. And that's how the session was born. I want to just flash up this number. Guys, what do you think this number is? Give me a guess in chat. Give me a guess in chat about what you think this number might be. You can tell me privately if you do. Okay, great. Marco's gone with the number of accounts on Twitter. What's that number? Ah, great. So I got a private message just come through. I'm going to say who it's from because the guess is absolutely right. Diane just sent me a message and she wrote Black people, ? And that is actually correct. So this is what the experts estimate are the number of Black people in the world, right? But that's a really hard figure to estimate because what counts as Black, what if you're biracial, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into it. But the message that I want to say to you is, I am just one of those people, right? I do not speak for the Black community and all the Black people on the planet. I don't think anyone does. And so this session is me and about what I think. I just got a message through saying, I am nervous to even use the words Black people, to be honest with you. So that's why we're doing today, right? Guys, we are all still learning, and that includes me, because last week I did not know that Eskimo was considered a derogatory word by the Inuit people. I didn't know that, guys. And so there is an Eskimo book that I read to my children like almost every day. And I just didn't get it, right? I didn't know about Juneteenth. I was sad about Aunt Jemima because in my childhood, that was the only Black face I saw on the shelves. So I've literally spent my life thinking, oh my God, Aunt Jemima, I love you, right? And I had to do some learning myself about that. And a couple weeks ago as well, I got told to check my privilege. It was strange and new and exciting for me because no one had ever told me that before. But I did. I stopped, I listened, and I learned. And I think that's what we can all ask from each other. No one has all the answers. I certainly don't have all of the answers. But just to remind you that ally is a verb. And we all have a responsibility. The people who are listening to this, who are white, who are not people of color, you have a huge responsibility because of something that's called complainer syndrome. Complainer syndrome means that when I speak up for Black issues, I am more likely to be seen as a complainer because I'm a Black person. And if you, as a white person, speak up, your voice is more likely to be heard on the issue. And it's sad, but it's true. That's the way that it is. It's the way of the world. So just consider that when you are using your voice on social media. So where I want to start today is with a game that's called Oh No, They Didn't, right? So Oh No, They Didn't is what we're going to play right now. Here is the Oh No scale. Guys, there is an I'm not sure option. So if I show you something and you're not sure about it or where it lies, use I'm not sure, right? If you see it and you think, I see where you were going there, but you know, poor execution. You were close, but not that close. If you see it and you think, oh my God, this is cringe, I'm feeling it in my heart, use that one. And oh no, they didn't, is if the thing I flash up enrages and incenses you and maybe makes you want to punch that person or brand. No, guys, no violence. Okay, guys, are we ready to play this game? Are we ready? Yes! Okay, excellent. Here is your first one. Right? Post saying, morning, it's a great day to arrest the officers who killed Breonna Taylor. Also, the grab bag sale is still happening. That is all. Okay, so I'm going to launch a poll. Let me know what you think about that post. Put your votes in. Things are looking good. Right, we have 20% of you on oh no they didn't, 43% of you on cringe totally awkward, and 28% on I see where they're going but poor execution. Guys, if your poll isn't popping up, just feel free to type to me in the chat. What's your issue with this post? What's the issue? What's the issue? It's salesy. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a pivot to sales. There's a collection to sales, and that makes it feel kind of commercial. Great word from Vanessa, performative, right? It's the link to the sales, okay? So it's like using the movement. Oh, someone said it. It is using the movement to get attention to your business. You're like linking it to yourself. So if you're using your voice on social media, this is something we'd want to avoid. If you're making a statement, make your statement. Don't link it to your business or whatever it is you've got going on. Okay, let's look at the next one. Whoops. Now, this is a major high street brand who posted this. I mean, I think it stayed up for something like 41 minutes. So I was really glad to get a screenshot because the backlash was instant and pervasive. So let me know what you think about this one. You can vote in the poll and then start letting me know on the chat why you don't like it or what it is about it that you don't like. We have a lot of I'm not sures for this one, which usually does happen for this. Let's see what the people saying. Yeah, okay. So Vanessa's like, there is an issue on colorism here. Black skin doesn't look like that. From Karen. Fran is saying the choice of color as well. So it is like they've literally gone black and white. I'm going to hold my hand up for you guys. What color are my fingernails? They aren't black, okay?
No, exactly.
Okay, so yeah, I would like to think that they would have Black people who work there who would have objected to this, right? And oh, great comment from Marco. So the background is pink, the hand tone is like actually a skin tone, and it almost looks like black is different and wrong in the picture. It's really jarring. So Vanessa's saying, who was the brand? So guys, you will notice that for all of these pictures where I'm pointing out things that didn't go quite right, I am obfuscating all of the brands and all of the people's names and details. This is not a witch hunt. It's something that we are learning from. And so I've taken away all those identifying details. When people have done stuff that I think is awesome, I will share their details. Where they haven't, I'm not sharing their details. Okay. So the next one. The next one says, honestly, the way I've been judged / attacked lately by people who don't know me in general for past mistakes I've made has given me a whole new perspective of how Black people are treated daily by some. This ain't for the weak, and my heart goes out to the Black community even more, and to know I'll never fully understand the magnitude and risks associated simply with being Black in our country is hard to wrap my brain around. Alrighty. Guys, I'm not going to give you the context. I am just going to ask you to vote in the poll before I give you any context. Okay, so she's been judged for past mistakes, and now that's given her a new perspective of how Black people are treated daily. In the comments, feel free to let me know what you think about this one. How self-centered can she be? Right. So guys, if we are using our voices on social media, we should not be making ourselves the center. Also, thank you, Gail. What past mistakes have Black people made that means that we should be treated in the ways that we have been treating? Fosca saying she's making this about herself, and she's saying that she's been being attacked. Anna's like, what mistakes? Also, now you know how Black people feel? Oh, Gareth hit the nail on the head. Very good, Gareth. So now I can give you the context. He said, it sounds like she's previously been racist and now regretting it. So yes, guys, the context of this is that she used the N-word several times, and people jumped on her for it where she posted a positive post about Black Lives Matter. But it doesn't matter because her overall message anyway is not right. So if we want to support any cause really on social media, what is great is not making it about yourself or putting yourself in the center of things. So for this one, we had a pretty much even split across the board between, oh no, they didn't, cringe, and I see where they're going, with a few unsures. Okay. All right. Before I put up this poll, I need to just surface that this company has a line of products that's called the Black Line, their Black Line, product line. And it is not a line that is for Black people. It's just the name of their product line. And so on Blackout Tuesday, they posted a square for Blackout Tuesday, followed by what you're seeing, that second post that's on the other side of the page. Okay, I'm not even going to put up a poll because already chat is going crazy. Oh my God, wow, this is horrifying. No, unbelievable. Using BLM to sell products. Yikes. Helen is like, who allowed this? Right, exactly. You will be pleased to know that it only took 19 minutes for this to be taken down. So the backlash was so swift from this that it only took 19 minutes for them to remove this. I agree with you, Amy. 19 minutes too long. It shouldn't even have made it up. I never need a poll for this one. Everyone goes crazy. Okay, let's talk about this one. Oh, great comment from Gareth. There's a lot of this during Pride as well. So everyone's sticking up the rainbow, doing a sale, etc. And it always really annoys me. Okay, so this one, it's very important to me that you and everyone knows where I stand. It's not a time to be silent. I know many of us are, because we don't want to say the wrong thing, but do some research, have conversations, use your voice. I support Black Lives Matter, and anything I associate myself with does as well. Change can never happen if it doesn't first happen within yourself. Be open-minded to a new perspective. And then she has a little quote about what you can do as a supportive ally. Guys, all really positive, all really positive. Okay, all really positive. But yes, indeed, Vanessa, she has blackfaced herself. Indeed, she has the little shades of color. Yeah, Diane. So when I first saw it, right, I was very focused on the words, which, by the way, are great, right? Great narrative. But she's made it here because of the stripes that she's done, right? And Diane says that the first and last sentence could be centering, but yeah, the stripes, right? But you know what, guys? Maybe no one told her that about the history of blackface. Yeah, literally, Marco. Should she have posted this without the blackface, it would have been a great post. But that kind of takes away from the overall message. I think her heart was in the right place as well. Let's just quickly see what other people think. Do we think her heart was in the right place? Hold on. What do we think? What do we think? Okay. So like 70% of you say, I see where she was going, but poor execution, which is kind of like what I feel. Yeah, right? So these are some great points being made in the comments, that she's talking about people educating themselves and saying that she would have conversations about it, but also she has done the wrong thing and needs to do some educating of herself as well. Okay, so last one, guys. This is from a brand who, in response to Black Lives Matter, posted about how diverse they are by sharing their current makeup range. Okay, so this is their current makeup range, and they are using that range as an example of how diverse they are. So what do you think? Okay, so Dinah saying only Cocoa, lots of other dark skin tones not represented. Helen says it's a token effort, doesn't look that diverse. The range is still very white and olive, seems to be lacking darker tones, not very diverse. 90% of the shades are for white people. No real people shown from Helen. 12 shades for white skin from Gail, right? Just to give you guys some perspective, I would not be able to find a foundation in that range that I could use. But here is Fenty's foundation range by comparison, just to educate you. Yeah, so it was very promotional, and also I think it fell short because maybe they are not where they should be in terms of diversity, right? Yes, this is Fenty. Yes, indeed. All hail Rihanna, writes Vanessa. Exactly, right? Guys, Fenty is the first brand that was actually able to perfectly color match my skin. So thank you to them for that. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what you shouldn't do. So put yourself at the center, tie it to any sales and profits, not educate yourself first before you share. Use language or visuals that are discriminatory and not quite right. Let's talk a little bit about what you can do, because this is about equipping us with tools to make a difference going forward. So I've separated these into categories, and I'm basically going to use things that I've seen on social media to tell the story. So the first thing is to use your talents, your own talents. If you have some talents that are translatable, right? So for example, a Foul Language Comics is a graphic artist that I follow, and he made this in recognition of Black Lives Matter. So he's holding up signs where someone says, save the whales, and then someone yells, save all fish, right? And he's saying that if the three things wouldn't happen, then the last thing shouldn't happen in response to Black Lives Matter, right? Here is Fairy Cakes. She's a cross stitcher. She made a free cross stitch pattern in honor of Black Lives Matter and made it available to everyone, which I loved. These guys, lots of the narrative that we've been seeing around Black Lives Matter has been in English. These guys have been translating the messages into Spanish to share them in a whole other language to reach an entire different audience. And I love that, right? This La Negra Cochetera, she crochets, she makes dolls. And this is an Angela Davis doll that she crocheted and made, and then she's been sharing. I agree, Karen, I think it's gorgeous. I didn't share her write-up on it, but oh my goodness, what a statement, right? Amazing. I can't, every time I see this, I can't look away. It is so beautiful. It is Black Lives Matter, pride as well. Oh, it's amazing. I can't stop looking at it. It's actually the background on my phone now because I just think it's so insanely beautiful. And then Natalie Cooper has been using her voice to amplify the voices of the Black Lives Matter movement. She's been actually drawing these things, the people, and making the quotes. And I've featured Natalie Cooper a little bit more because this is what her thread looks like now. So she started posting about activism, the time is always right to do right. And since then, she's been putting up these quotes from important people in the movement, sharing and drawing their sketches as well. This was her feed before all the Black Lives Matter stuff started happening. So there was nothing there. And you can literally see where she pivoted on her feed. And I love it. Okay, so that's an option. But then there's going to be people who, much like me, are like, Dana, I can't draw. I absolutely can't draw. I don't speak Spanish or any other language. What can I do? For you, what I want to say is less is sometimes more. Okay, and I'm going to give some examples. This is a brand I follow. Guys, for this section, we're focusing on captions. So she used the Maya Angelou quote, and she could have written like 10,000 stuff below it. But all she wrote was pause, listen, learn, do better, we can do better. And for me, that is enough of a statement, right? Here is Scrinkle. Scrinkle makes paper cutout art. And I could have put her in the previous section, but this was her post for Black Lives Matter Blackout Tuesday. And look at her commentary. It is literally just one heart, a black heart, because you know why it's there and you know why she's posting it. By the way, guys, she got some like insane backlash for this. People did not like that she didn't post a black square. I love that she used her talent and her art. And for me, she did make a statement, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, this is my friend Paul, who is a coach. And for Blackout Tuesday, he posted a black square. And lots of people for Blackout Tuesday were like, I am so sympathetic with the Black Lives Matter movement and long paragraphs and stuff, which is great. But Paul's approach was just to type, enough is enough. And it is. And I hear you. I love that. And what's coming up next here is from my friend Caroline. She said to me, we were talking, and she said, I wasn't quite sure how to approach Blackout Tuesday. So on the day, I decided to be completely silent and just learn from others who knew more than me. And that is okay too. Okay, so use your talents, less is more. Now let your photos do the talking is next. What do I mean by that? So this is one of my favorite posts that I've seen for the whole of Pride. And the mom's wearing a t-shirt that says, my son is bi, I don't ask why. And the son has the son's t-shirt is saying, my mother is straight, but she don't hate. I mean, do you really need any more than that? The picture is doing the talking, right? Uh, Likewise, the content muse who I follow on Instagram, here is her daughter reading the Little People, Big Dreams book about Rosa Parks. And that was a photo she shared, and we get the message, right? I saw this on LinkedIn and I loved it, right? It's Missing the Point, a guide. So when is International Men's Day? When is it White History Month? When is it Straight Pride? And then the intersection of that, All Lives Matter, right? So I love that as well. Zoe shared this one, which is of someone saying that classic line, I'm not racist, but, and you know the second somebody says that, the but is going to be horrible. And so the friend was just like covering her mouth, like, don't say it, don't say it. That made me smile as well. And this is an image that has literally haunted me for the entirety of this movement. I don't even think that it needs words. Finally, I was really touched by this poem on empathy. It's basically saying, I probably have never been in your shoes, but I feel for you. Let me walk with you. Let me hold the door for you. It's the least I can do. And every time I see it, I get a little goosebumpy. The photo has all of the words that are needed in it. So nothing else is required. That's what I mean by let your photos do the talking. Okay, now I'm moving on to amplify voices that are a part of the movement. So there are some very strong voices from the Black community already talking. So maybe if you're not comfortable speaking yourself, what you can do is amplify some of these voices. So here is Anna Fox. She actually drew the illustration that's below, but her quote is from Angela Davis, who is a civil rights activist and in the Black Power movement. So she said, in a racist society, it's not enough to be non-racist, we must be anti-racist. And so she shared that. Everything I'm going to share from this point going forward is a white person who is sharing, but what is important is that they are giving the credits to the original voice, right? So this one here, she has tagged the woke coach, who is Sina, in her post. You should follow her, she's great. Here is Vic amplifying the voice of Mimi, right? And her amazing graphic, right? I don't see color, it's not a thing that we say. I absolutely want you to see my color and accept that color and what it brings, right? So that's that graphic. And here is Run This Mom Life, sharing from Growing Up Guptas. If you didn't come from an anti-racist family, make sure that an anti-racist family comes from you, which is such a powerful statement. And again, she's linked to and tagged them. Sharing resources is something else you can do. That's very easy. Here is Rhiannon sharing that she's reading Me and White Supremacy. Literally, this is the post that I complimented her on, where she was like, I was so nervous about posting it and I don't want to blah, blah, blah. I think it's a great post, right? Here is my friend Caroline sharing on LinkedIn some resources to help people who want to be an ally, and also strategies to help address racial injustice. Turner and Perry sharing some Black-owned businesses. My friend Colleen sharing detailed anti-racism resources on Medium. And all of you, right? Everyone who shared this event and linked to this event and tweeted about it, you guys are already sharing resources. And I encourage you to keep doing more of the same. Now, guys, all of those things I just talked about were reasonably passive. And so now let's up the ante a little bit, right? What if you wanted to take it up a notch? So here we go with sharing opinions or stories, right? Here is one I love from Mark. Mark says that both he and George Floyd were arrested for a counterfeit 20, but for him, it's a story that he can tell at parties, a party tale. For George Floyd, it was his death, and that is what white privilege is. That resonated with me so much. Loved it. Okay. Lori, on Friday, you deserve real consequences for being racist. Not uncomfortable conversations, genuine consequences. This should not be considered a hot take. If you see the comments on this post, They are nuts. So I just want to say that if you decide to take this approach, you have to be a really resilient person and be prepared for some backlash, right? And here is Emmanuel sharing that he has been allowing people to perpetrate microaggressions against him. So he has people call him Mr. A because his name is too difficult to pronounce. Guys, if people can learn to say footballers' names, and they do, and the cast of Games of Thrones, and they did, they can learn to say your name. It's fine. But him sharing that is surfacing. And then Dan Foster from KPMG Switzerland went on an epic rant 2 weeks ago on LinkedIn, which I love. He's basically like, I'm sick of all lives matter. If you post that rubbish here, expect to be unfollowed. And I was like, whoa, okay. I don't even know that I would post that, but at my heart, I'm a non-confrontational person. Literally, Dan is going through his comments, and anybody who says anything, he's like blocked and unfollowed. It's like he copy pasted the words blocked and unfollowed, and literally anyone who typed anything against the statement, he was like blocked and unfollowed, blocked and unfollowed, blocked and unfollowed, blocked and unfollowed. I was like, holy crap, Dan, you've been eating your Weetabix on a morning. Oh my goodness, right? So if you feel up to it, that's also an option. Dan was bringing the noise. Okay, a gentle. Yes.
Someone has asked, they didn't want to put it in the main chat because they didn't know if you were covering it, but I'm pretty sure you're not. She says, I'd like to know how Dana feels about GIFs and memes. Context, I love Obama's mic drop and I would use it. There are lots of GIFs featuring Black women that I don't believe I should use to denote how I feel about something.
That is really interesting. No one has asked me that before. I'm not sure that I'm the right person to ask because in general, I don't know if you can tell this, I am a very unorthodox person. So I would probably say, go ahead and use it. And actually, I see people using it. And when it is used, I always think it's funny. Like New York from Flavor of Love. People probably don't know what I'm talking about. She does these like snappy neck rolls. I use Nene Leakes later on in the thing, and you will see it. God, I think it's fine, but I think lots of things are fine. And in my friendship group, when we're having debates about stuff, there are people who feel a certain way about it. I think consider the context, but if it's something snappy or funny, I legitimately don't see anything wrong with that. I don't. I said it. I'm standing by it, Kay. I said what I said. Okay, so bring the facts is another category. It's a little bit gentler than the one we saw before, right? Actually, I just want to go back for a second. Kay, I would totally love it if everybody was always using GIFs of Black women so that we can see ourselves even more and people can see us. And maybe if you use a GIF, people might be like, who's that sassy Black woman, and want to learn more about it and maybe start using that GIF. And so then when I look at my stuff, everything won't be whitewashed and I can actually see myself. So you know what? I endorse it. I said what I said. Okay, bring the facts is the next category. So this is a gentler approach to the previous section. And guys, here is a Bloomberg article, and it's showing basically that corona in the US is still growing. What do you think the top comment on this was? So they asked the question, what is America doing wrong, right? What do you think people said is the reason why? Oh, Helen got it in one, right? Maybe Black Lives Matter should stop protesting and holding massive riots in the middle of a global. We wish it was Trump, Michelle. We wish it was Trump. It wasn't. They blamed the Black Lives Matter protests, right? And here was the army. Guys, the army came in really hard. They were like, this is not true. DC and New York had plenty of protests, blah, blah, blah. Denver as well. Here are the states. There's not been the evidence. I mean, they came really hard for it. So bringing the facts is another approach that I absolutely recommend if you feel like getting into Twitter wars. So on my last session, I had a guy who was like, straight up, this is my approach. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but here it is. And Charlotte is saying, and the Trump rally gave a spike in cases, right? Guys, the protests were outdoors as well. Anywho's. Now, if you're thinking, I don't want to get into a war on Twitter or mass social media, this is actually my friend's Facebook. So she legit knows these people. And she saw this on her Facebook when she logged in. And she was like, holy crap, what do I do? And so he was like, can we quit making it about race? And she replied, no, right? Guys, she is like the gentlest, sweetest person on the planet. And she was like, no, because right now it is about race. I'm now calling her the diversity tigress because this was amazing. And also she posted a whole bunch of stats and a link to an article at the end, right? That is what I mean by bringing the facts. And this is her making an impact in her own little pond and not in the ocean, right? So in her little pond. What's really interesting is that her response got more likes than the original post, which I love as well. Okay, I just want to point out, because I know that I have some people on here who are small businesses and running brands, that one post does not make a movement, right? So Angela Davis says you have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time. Consistency is key. And this is my personal perspective. If I go to your page as a brand and I cannot see myself, I'm not buying from you. You are not the brand for me. If I'm not represented, I'm sorry, you don't get my money. I said what I said. So here are some brands who I think do a really good job of diversity. Lauka Polka takes really, what word do I want to use? Like, you know how sometimes little girls' dolls can be really sexy? She de-sexifies them. Guys, I know that's not a word, but you know what I'm saying, okay? So she takes them and she takes off the makeup and gives them nice, clean little faces. They might need a haircut. She makes the clothes that they're wearing like appropriate clothes. But if you look at her page, they're like different hair colors, different skin tones, etc. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about being inclusive. This is one of my favorite accounts on Twitter. It's the Little Button Bakery. Guys, what amazing inclusivity here. Like, just look at it, right? There is gay marriage here. There is an interracial couple on there, a mix of ages. There's a hetero couple. Guys, it's beautiful. I love this page, right? And I just want to say that if you're choosing stock images, how difficult is it to pick a stock image that is representative of the wider world? Do it. And finally, POW TV, and I've posted them up because even in the little graphics that they have drawn, they manage to include a range of different skin tones, which I love them for. All right. So here's the biggie. Dana, I did everything you said, and I still got attacked. Well, it's already been said in the chat, but I'm going to amplify it again here. Guys, being an ally is not easy, and you will make mistakes along the way. It is inevitable. We are all new on the journey. We will make mistakes. If you make a mistake and you realize that it was a mistake, God, own it and do better next time, okay? There is no shame in being wrong. Learn from it, move on. Get uncomfortable with not getting it 100% right and do it anyway. If you do make a mistake, put an apology that is genuine, right? If you feel in your heart, okay, crap, I really did make a mistake. Oh God, I feel bad. Put an apology that resonates, okay? However, we need to stop apologizing for apologizing's sake. So that beautiful apology that I just showed, she literally did nothing wrong and did not need to apologize for that. People will always jump on you. And I feel like more and more, even when you are in the right in yourself, people will think you're in the wrong. So accept what is good for you, right? And try, I mean, really think about whether or not an apology is worth it. Okay, great. So yes, thank you, Shannon. That's what I'm saying. Whether what you are saying is right or wrong, some people will always disagree and pick a fight, especially online. So I went back to her and I was like, you did not need to apologize for this, right? Move on. Because I think an option, guys, is also, I said what I said and you own it, okay? So I said what I said is also a valid response. Sometimes we gotta say, I think you're a troll, and you know what, whatever. I said what I said, I'm owning it. And finally, a wise person, you'll see I scratched on man there, fix that, once said nothing. So saying nothing is also an acceptable response. So on Monday, I ran the first 2 of these sessions, and right before I logged in, I got this message on Instagram. I'm going to read it because I don't want to misquote the person in my DMs. Dana, you are an Uncle Tom, pandering to the needs of privileged white apologists and giving them the tools to appear anti-racist in public when we all know it's a different story behind closed doors, right? They were saying this because of these sessions that I'm running, right? So did I have a moment of feeling really sad? I mean, I'll admit it, yes. Maybe some tears were shed, yes. But then I thought about it and I'm like, that's not the aim of this session. That is not what I'm trying to do. And you know what? Are there any kids on here? F you, goodbye. And I just didn't answer and I blocked the person. So saying nothing is also a response. I guess my final thing is to remember that people exist in the real world too. So everyone wants to be an ally on social media and step up. But can we also do some stepping up in real life is what I'm saying. So when Black Lives Matter was trending, it was one of the most isolating times in my life because I felt like people were avoiding me because they didn't know what to say. And I think if you have people who are experiencing something and you don't know the absolute right thing to say, it is okay to say that. I'm getting a little bit emotional because it's true. And just saying, look, I don't know what to say, but I'm letting you know I'm thinking of you. Like something, just isolating or pretending that it doesn't exist or acting like it's awkward is not okay. And so I wanted to share just 2 of the messages that I got in that time that really stood out. One is from my friend Carlene, and she said, I can't pretend to understand, but I feel rage and you can just talk to me. I'm here to listen. I'm a very high energy person. And in that week, I just felt absolutely drained. And then I got this message from my friend Aid, and he said, you must be feeling really tested and just drained at the moment. And I see you. And I felt so seen in that moment. And I think, you know, people don't realize how much their words have an impact. So please step up for the people who are in your lives. And yes, something is better than nothing always. So let's stand together is what I want to say, you know, come together. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my recording. There was a Q&A session after this, but the Q&A session was different every single time we recorded. So I'm going to work on pulling all of those different Q&As together into a single video, and that's what I'll share next. Below this video are some resources. First, all of the positive accounts that I used and I referenced throughout the video. Secondly, all of the amazing resources that were shared as part of the chat function during and after the webinars. And thirdly, a list of resources to get you started on your journey should you need any additional help. If you really enjoyed the session, you might consider donating to a Black Lives Matter charity. This session was free. I know that it's times of COVID and not everyone is working, and I would never let money get in the way of learning. But if you are in a position where you're able to give back, I invite you to please do so. Here's a summary of everything that we discussed as part of the session as a reminder on how to step up. You can use your talents. Remember that less is more. Let your photos do the talking. Amplify other voices in the movement. Share your resources. Bring the facts and share your opinions and stories. Please don't forget to let me know what you thought about the session by connecting with me on Twitter at Dana the Trainer or on Instagram at Dana the Trainer Limited. Please also feel free to use the hashtag #IsThisOkay?